Coming up on the Sports Desk, it's the home stretch of spring sports with summer creeping up on us, and for some baseball teams, that means it's time to start thinking of where they'll fit into the playoff picture. Plus, if you want to get to the playoffs, you got to top the squads in your league. See who's off to a rough start and searching for a serious slump buster over in the Bay League. And that final stretch of the school year means it's time for high school seniors to prep for the next level, while standout juniors have one of the most grueling and exciting times of their careers right around the corner. All that's coming up and more right here on the Sports Desk. Hey there, South Bay. How's it going? I'm your host of the Sports Desk, Wan Hernandez. Welcome to another week on the show. Last week, we gave you a look at the El Camino men's volleyball squad as they were the first squad in town to lock up a ticket to this year's SoCal Regional Playoffs. Meanwhile, on the diamond, we've seen this spring's Warrior team ride a roller coaster that can only be found on a baseball field, finding their groove at the beginning of SCC play and taking hold of first place until the end of March, and within a matter of weeks, falling to a tie for fourth place. Now, it's near do or die. Last week marked the first of the Warriors' last three-game series heading into the home stretch of their 2013 campaign. Brittany Johnson brings you the highlights from that first game.
The El Camino Warriors, with an overall record of 15-13, played host to East LA in a South Coast Conference game. The first 4 innings were scoreless, but things started heating up here in the bottom of the fourth. The Warriors with a triple and 2 RBIs to get the first points on the board. The Warriors take a 2-0 lead. A couple of plays later, the Warriors bunt and they're able to pick up another run. The score is now 3-0. We're still in the bottom of the fourth and Justin McCullough is at bat, and he makes a big play. That's 2 RBIs to make this a 5-0 game. But if you thought this was going to be a shutout, think again. East LA may have been quiet until now, but they got things started here in the top of the fifth. With bases loaded, the team answered back to get within 2. The score is now 5-3 Warriors. Dalton Erb on the mound, a familiar face here at the Sports Desk. East LA with the single, and they're able to bring the score within. It's the bottom of the 7th, and Elko trying to end the game. They were able to seal the deal with this run, and El Camino Warriors are able to pull out from this tight one and win it 6-4.
We just had some good at-bats, and then, saw some pitches. We finally got to that pitcher, figured him out, stayed within, did what we know how to do best, which is seeing pitches and hitting the ball that we like.
I think we did a really good job. We had that hiccup in the 5th where we walked a few people. They ended up getting a double in the gap. But other than that, I thought we pitched really well, played good defense, and got some timely hits. So a game we needed.
So the Warriors get what they want out of that first game in any series. Pretty simple, a W. Following that, though, Elko drops the next game on the road 13-3. Absolutely brutal. A sloppy game all around as both teams combined for 7 errors on the day, the Warriors accounting for 4 of those. So that loss set up not just a rubber match in the 3-game series, but more importantly, a marquee matchup in the South Coast Conference standings. 2 teams now sitting at 7-7, with the winner moving to within a game of second place. And the loser would be looking up at 5 South Coast Conference teams with less than 2 full weeks to go before the end of the regular season. For that story, we go to Jenny Phillips.
Elko hosting East LA College today for the last of a 3-game conference series. They go into it tied at 1 apiece with the Warriors' conference record right at 500. First inning, Alex Navarrete on the mound for the Warriors. East LA's bats are alive as they quickly get on the board. Navarrete gives up 3 runs in the inning and is pulled shortly into the second. Warriors with an early 3-0 deficit. Colin Nelson, who's normally a closer, comes in from the bullpen for Navarrete. A very impressive outing for him. He goes an entire 8 innings, giving up only 1 run and 4 hits. The Warriors don't stop battling offensively either. Bottom of the 4th, Dylan Hatch finds home plate for their first run. Elko now down 3-1. Heading into the bottom of the 9th, Warriors down 4-1 with one final chance to pull this one out. No outs, 2 on base, Jason Delgado at the plate, and he gets the RBI single. Warriors cut the deficit to 4-2, but unable to score again, and that'll be the final. Elko seems to be doing a lot of things right, but right now they're fighting to make playoffs.
We're doing fine as a team. We're hitting balls hard, not catching any breaks, and making a lot of good plays on us. Our pitching's doing fine, throwing strikes, and that's what we need to do. Defense making plays. We can clean it up a little bit with errors maybe, but as a team all together, we just need to stick with what we're doing, keep with our approach up there at the plate and on the mound, and just hope for the best.
We just didn't get that big hit. We had opportunities, just didn't come through.
Well, we're all fighting for our lives right now. Playoffs as a team. We have to work hard. Next week is a big week for us. We got a couple more weeks to go. Just got to come out strong.
It's going to be tough. We're going to have to just fight it out, figure it out. I mean, they'll start to fall sooner or later, hopefully.
This loss puts Elko's conference record at 7-8, their first time being under 500 since dropping their conference opener to Long Beach. The Warriors need to put this disappointing loss behind them, though, as there are only a couple of weeks left in the season and they're fighting to make playoffs. From El Camino College, I'm Jenny Phillips for the Sports Desk.
So there it is, the Warriors looking way up at the rest of the South Coast Conference now. They'll go into the last two series of the season just one game behind Cerritos, their next opponent, and closing it out against LA Harbor, one of the two teams currently sitting below the Warriors. You see here the whole conference in a tight race. We talk about the Warriors dropping from first to fifth place in a matter of just a few weeks. That margin just 5 games back from first place Mount Sac, only 2 games back behind second place teams Long Beach and Compton, with 6 to go at the beginning of this week. All right, everybody, coming up after the break, we bring our Vi Salas into the Sports Desk studio to talk about what it all boils down to as a high school athlete, years of dedication, training, and working towards that senior year, so you better be prepared for recruiting season.
As a first-time Olympian, it was a true honor for me to represent Team USA in London. I'm also proud to represent another great team, the Multiple Sclerosis Association of America, who sponsors Swim for MS, a national fundraiser where you can create your own swim challenge. Anything from swimming laps for pledges to jumping cannonballs for cash. If you love swimming like I do, register today at swimforms.org.
Here's Marley Matlin. Since 1977, Dogs for the Deaf has been rescuing dogs from animal shelters and professionally training them to assist people who need them. They literally become the ears of a deaf person. Dogs are placed free of charge across the U.S. and Canada. Dogs that don't make it in the program are found forever homes through adoption. If you or anyone you know might benefit from having a hearing dog, visit the website of Dogs for the Deaf. Helping people and saving dogs is what it's all about.
Hey, what's up? I'm Bella.
Yo, what up? This is Vinny Guadagnino.
I'm Nick Cannon.
Hi, I'm Aziz Ansari. That was your line.
You can help by joining DoSomething.org.
DoSomething.org.
That's why I'm teaming up with DoSomething.org.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Sports Desk. One more time, Wan Hernandez here, and now I'm joined in studio by a familiar face, our very own Sports Desk reporter, Vi Salas. Vi, how you doing today, man? Good to see you.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a little nerve-wracking because I had to make sure that I had the attire correct. You guys don't know, there's strict wardrobe restrictions that I wanted to make sure that I was ready and prepared for the show.
Vi and I have had to talk about this quite a bit. I have a rule. If your tie is wider than 1.5 inches, don't talk to me. So anyway, Vi is here to talk to us today about a little something going on this time of year, actually. Some juniors getting ready to go on into their senior year and get ready for the next level. Recruiting season coming up. It's that time of year to start thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, seniors have already, they have already usually made their commitments. Juniors, on the other hand, are just starting to get into that process. It's a really exciting time for everyone involved.
All right, Vi, well, show us what you got for this week. You did a little feature on that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you probably don't know the name Arthur McDuffie. 20 years ago, he was one of the top recruits in SEC country. College coats and scouts would come to the rural Mississippi town looking to see the prize offensive lineman in person. Only one problem: McDuffie didn't exist. To this day, no one really knows how the legend of Arthur McDuffie started, but the art and business of college recruiting has evolved on a national scope, with everyone, colleges, recruiting services, and fan bases trying to find the real McDuffie. The first Tuesday in February has become synonymous with college athletics. Officially, it is the first day high school athletes can sign a national letter of intent to play college ball. Nationally, National Letter of Intent Day has become a spectacle. Top prep stars highlighted on national television to inform the country where they'll play in college. Here in Torrance, the moment is starting to catch on. 2013 witnessed athletes at each of Torrance's schools signing to play college from the Division I level to the NAIA. And it's something that flitters on the mind of every prep athlete as they enter their senior year.
At this point, I'm just taking it day by day. You know, I was thinking about it earlier, and I'm just enjoying being out here at practice with my guys, and excited to have these final moments, you know, just enjoying it day by day. But I'm excited for college as well.
College sports have become big business. Riding on those coattails is college recruiting, emerging as a multi-billion-dollar industry. Consultants, recruiting and scouting services, and businesses set up to give fans inside on the recruiting trail have all profited. According to Torrance baseball head coach Ollie Turner, those big dollars have created a very slippery slope.
Honestly, is that a lot of it is, you know, just people trying to make money off people that have hopes and dreams and parents and their kids playing college baseball. And the kids that are good enough have to persevere and work for it and earn it, and they'll get seen by people. So that's usually what it is. The guys that are good enough to play keep playing, and you know, it's hard for everybody because we all want to keep playing forever, but you know, this is where a lot of guys have to call it quits.
But for the athlete who refuses to call it quits, they are taking a more proactive route. More and more athletes are contacting coaches through social media, and the biggest recruiting tool for many athletes is YouTube. But for college coaches, the increased exposure of athletes is a double-edged sword.
The opportunity to actually see footage from players is completely different. Before, school would have to fly down. It was hit and miss. Now there's more exposure as far as there's tons of places that they can go and actually see players. So I think the amount of exposure has gone up, and with that is more opportunity, and you see players going out of their region, going across the country, but really it comes down to can this person fit into our culture? The problem is that coaches get saturated by a whole bunch of information that they have to kind of decipher through, and it really still comes down to coaches talking to coaches. I think four-year schools rely predominantly on talking to the high school coaches and talking to junior college coaches to try to find out if what they're seeing is right, if the stats add up, and then what kind of kid they're going to get.
And according to the South assistant baseball coach Tom Sane, the type of kid trying to make the jump from high school to college in this era has changed in the 50 years Sane has been in baseball.
But the problem of this era is that they want it, but they don't really know how to get after it and go get it, because you really have to work hard. I mean, extremely hard. You have to pay a price. It's worth it, but it's really tough, and I don't think that these guys or this generation kind of grasps that concept in some respects.
For many high schoolers, the world is a much smaller place, and the competition, much bigger.
There's so many players out there. You know, it's just as good as you, so you got to work just that much harder to be better than them.
So when we talk about exposure for the sport, awesome. When it comes to recruiting, sometimes it can be a little overbearing.
And one that overexposure Elko baseball coach Nate Fernley is referring to can sometimes entangle prep athletes as well. Who could forget in 2008 when Nevada prep athlete Kevin Hart held a press conference to select Cal football over Oregon? Just one tiny hiccup. Neither school had offered Hart a scholarship, nor even heard of him.
Yes, and one of the things you talked about in that feature, of course, the business of recruiting. Give people a sense on the grand scale of things where some of our local schools on the college level fit into the recruiting business.
Yeah, absolutely. Recruiting is now a billion-dollar industry, and that doesn't even include what colleges budget to get the top athletes. Here's a list of the top 5 schools and their recruiting budgets. 4 out of the 5 come from the SEC, the other is Notre Dame. If you're wondering where USC and UCLA fit on the list, they're at 36th and 37th, coming just under $1 million a year.
Kind of impressive numbers, and that makes a lot of sense. We've talked just specifically on the show some of the athletes in town. Bria Green headed to Alabama. We got a volleyball player playing in the SEC. Matt Bozen in Boise State. We saw him there in that feature. Just last week, we talked about Jonathan Kim, the place kicker over at Bishop Montgomery, headed to West Point. What was some of the advice that you got for some of the prep athletes who maybe want to leave the West Coast and go all over the country?
You know, the best advice I got came from Fernley, and this is sound advice for both athletes and scholars. When picking a school, visit the school and make sure you can see yourself living there away from family and friends. Too many times, Fernley explained, high schoolers pick a school because it's their dream school, only to find out that they don't quite fit in. And to wrap it all up, Juan, you mentioned just a couple names of Torrance athletes headed on to the next level. These are some names from around town that experienced all this on some level in this, their senior year. Matt Bozen and Bria Green on the list, like you mentioned. Jessica Nakai and Amanda Whittle from the South soccer squad that made a CIF semifinals run this year, going to be teammates again at the next level. There's actually a long list of ladies from this year's South soccer team that were recruited all over the country, but just a few of them here. This short list here just giving you a sample of some of the athletes we've seen here on the show this past year. If we were to start placing these names on a map, it'd give you a good idea of how well the city of Torrance is going to be represented in a variety of sports across the entire country.
All right, thanks a lot, Vi. Great to have you by. There it is. We're going to have a lot of athletes, of course, traveling all over the country, visiting some schools. Now we're headed to a break. So coming up after the break, we talk a little more ball here on the Sports Desk. Specifically, we're going to dive into some baseball karma. As the great Crash Davis himself would tell Nuke Lelouch, don't mess with the streak.
Just lying here, don't you see me? Pick me up, pick me up. If I'm lying here, can't you see me? Pick me up, pick me up.
Hey there, what's up, Torrance? Welcome back to the Sports Desk. Getting back to baseball like we started the show off, we'll check out another Torrance team that's seen some highs and endured some lows this spring. Over at West High, this season started out about as hot as a team could get. But as the brown and gold head into the league play, now we learn it may be time to start practicing some of the game's most fabled superstitions. Baseball is a game of superstition and ritual. Don't step on the base pads, say the words no hitter, no, or perfect game in the midst of one, and never, under any circumstances, mess with the streak. For the West Warriors, following up a 9-1 start that included an El Segundo tournament win by losing 5 of their next 6 to enter Bay League play, the one simple question was left when it came time to face rival Miracosta. Who messed with the streak?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. Obviously, we had a big injury with our center fielder, left-handed pitcher going down and stuff, so having to adjust there, putting some pressure on some of the younger guys to come in and play a role. And so that's been part of it. And when like the baseball game goes, it's sometimes the ball's bouncing your ways, and when things are going good, that's the way it was early. And right now, it doesn't seem like we're getting the breaks.
Starting league play represented a clean slate and a new beginning for the Warriors, still favored to take the top of the standings alongside defending champion Palos Verdes. The combination of fielding errors and quiet bats ultimately tallied up an 8-1 loss for the Warriors. Bottom of the second, bases juiced with a chance to cut open the Mustangs' 3-0 lead. Double play ball. Later on, bottom of the fifth, Warriors still blanked with 2 men on and 2 men out. Strikeout to end the inning and the threat. Sometimes you just can't buy a break in this game.
I mean, it's one game in Bay League, and we got to come out and show some heart next game at their place, and get the 2 out timely hits like they did, and have our guys that are in the middle of the lineup go ahead and execute, produce. It's just tweaking things that we need to tweak and stuff to get the momentum back in our way and start feeling good about ourselves and build the confidence.
So with the Bay League season still young and the Warriors looking to get their groove back, there's still one beautiful truth about baseball, unlike any other sport. Slumping, hitless, facing injuries, or just not sure why things aren't going your way, there's always another game tomorrow.
I think they're just, like typical high school kids that are trying to figure it out themselves and, what's it going to take to turn it around. So, they're a competitive group and stuff. They've got a lot of heart and stuff, so they'll stick with it.
Of course, the Warriors didn't literally play the next day, but 2 more games over the next 72 hours. Game 2 of that 2-game league series against Costa, a lot closer but possibly even more heartbreaking. The 2 teams go into extras tied up at 1 apiece until the Mustangs, Braden Cassidy lines one over Tommy Oslin's head at first base for an 8th-inning RBI double that would end it all. The next day, rough too. West finds themselves on the wrong side of a perfect game pitched by Lakewood's Javier Alvarez. All kinds of bad baseball karma here. 9-1 turns into a frustrating 10-9 real quick over at West Torrance. They get a chance to turn things back around this week with another Bay League series against Peninsula. And over in the Pioneer League, the North Saxons leading the pack to this point. They get a series sweep over Temple City, prepping them for a league series against Lawndale. 2 close ones at home for the Saxons, who are quietly having a solid season of their own, well within reach of matching last year's 20-win season. Now over to the Del Rey League. We've seen the Bishop Montgomery Knights tough out a rough season as they took on Del Rey League leader St. Paul. Our Letitia Cahey got a chance to sit down with Coach Kyle Snyder and talk about some of the unlucky hops and hit them where they ain't moments the Knights have endured this year.
Thank you, Juan. Tonight, Bishop Montgomery took a tough 6-1 loss to St. Paul at home. They did have a bright spot, though. Pitcher Liam Kent was on the mound and pitched 6 strong innings. Coach Snyder says that they still need to find that spark offensively and do a little better on defense. And here we go to the top of the second, where that defense was a problem. Bases loaded situation. St. Paul's Juan Zuniga lifts one off of Liam Kent for the RBI single, putting St. Paul on the board 1-0. Kent having trouble getting out of the second. With 2 outs, he tries to get the pickoff, but Gabe Esquire, rounding the bases, makes it home before the throw to make it 3-zip St. Paul. Bottom of the 4th. Aaron Pinto, still going strong for St. Paul, strikes out 3 to keep Bishop from getting on the board. On to the bottom of the 6th, Bishop running out of time to get something going offensively. Outfielder Chris Goff gets one off of Pinto into the sweet spot for an RBI double. Mitch Pruitt, the go-ahead runner, finally gets Bishop on the board, 4-1, St. Paul on top. In the 7th, St. Paul tacks on 2 more runs for a final of 6-1 in their favor.
Well, I was just playing my game, and what I was doing was good, and I trust everyone on this team, and I know that we can play much better than we did today, and we're just going to go out and get them next game.
I thought Liam pitched pretty great. There was a couple balls where he actually executed the pitch that we wanted him to execute, and he got a great result in the ground ball. It just unfortunately was hitting areas that our fielders were not, and they got some bounces to go their way for that second inning to give them a 3-0 lead, and then he settled down even more and kept us in the game, and then unfortunately we went down a little bit bigger than we expected at the end, and it was a little bit out of our reach at that point.
Thanks for that, Letitia. Keeping it on the Bishop campus and moving over to the volleyball courts. The Knights looking solid this spring behind Coach Kevin Norman. They suffer a big hit to their roster card with setter Travis Pyrek going down in the first set against CIF's Division IV 5th-ranked team, LaSalle. Apparently it's no biggie though, as Justin Arevalo steps in to dish out 22 assists on the evening and double digits digs. The Knights win in 4 sets and improve to 3-1 in Del Rey League play, 16-6 overall. And last but certainly not least, before we go here, a little community update for you. The City of Torrance has opened up registration for its youth dodgeball program. This summer, for 2nd through 8th graders, dodgeball will be one of the many activities provided by the city. Scheduled to start at the end of June, parents can register their athletes through June 21st for the program. You can find league info listed in the summer issue of Torrance Seasons or log online torranceca.gov/parks and sign them up for $69. You can also call the Community Services Department at the number listed below. Okay, everybody, and of course, if you've got the itch and a reason to reach out to the show anytime, this is where you can reach us here on the Sports Desk. We'll check out the dodgeball action this summer, but we know there's tons of other community events that are a blast, so invite us out, and you could end up right here on the show. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for another week right here on the Sports Desk. We will see you next time.